St Faustina is a relatively recent saint who lived in the previous 20th century, as she was born in 1905 and died in 1938. Her lifestyle was not a glamorous one, and it may even relate to some parts of our own lives, as St Faustina grew up in a Polish family which struggled with financial hardships and testing conditions. St Faustina had a desire for a religious vocation, which was originally opposed by her parents. However, after some time, with her parents' approval, she became a nun. St Faustina faithfully performed all her duties in the convent and followed all her orders. However, during what seemed like a normal life from an outsider's point of view, she actually hid within herself an extraordinary union with God. In her diary it is recorded that she has had several encounters with Jesus and visions from him. However, despite her divine relationship with God, she too had to undergo many sufferings. The list of St Faustina's sufferings is quite extensive, as she struggled physically from a terminal illness, she suffered spiritually, and she suffered emotionally, because often the other sisters didn't believe she was sick and thought she was avoiding work. The great amounts of suffering this saint endured is something which we can relate to and use as encouragement. In extract 279 of St Faustina's diary, we can read what Jesus is saying to St Faustina as she is going through a lot of suffering. In this extract, she writes that Jesus says like this: "My child, you please me most by suffering, in your physical as well as your mental sufferings. My daughter, do not seek sympathy from creatures. I want the fragrance of your suffering to be pure and unadulterated. I want you to detach yourself not only from creatures, but also from yourself. The more you will come to love suffering, my daughter, the purer your love for me will be." Also, in extract 1697 from St Faustina's diary, it is written, "Then Jesus said to me, my daughter, know that if I allow you to feel and have a profound knowledge of my sufferings, that is a grace from me." From these extracts, we can learn that God does not give us sufferings as a punishment, but rather as a route to grow closer to Him in love and unity. It will also teach us to fully rely on Him, because He is the only person who is constant in our lives and the only one who can always help us. In extract 106 of the diary, we see what St Faustina says during her time of suffering and pain. She has written like this: "Though these are frightening things, the soul should not be too fearful, because God will never let us be tested beyond what we are able to bear. On the other hand, He may never send us such sufferings, but I write this because if it pleases the Lord to let a soul pass through such sufferings, it should not be afraid to, but insofar as this depends on the soul itself, it should remain faithful to God. God will do a soul no harm, because He is love itself, and in this unfathomable love He has called into being. However, when I was so tormented, I myself did not understand this." This is a very honest extract and helps us to understand that God never intends to harm us with the sufferings we face, as it is all out of His love to try and reunite us to Him in heaven one day. Suffering is never the end, rather it is the ladder which we can use to climb closer to God and into heaven. St Faustina was a very young and uneducated nun in the convent, as she only had 3 years of education due to her family circumstances. This meant that she was often assigned the duties in the garden and kitchen, which she undertook with great humility. Yet God had chosen her as His instrument to make His mercy known to the whole world. It was to St Faustina that Jesus revealed the Divine Mercy Chaplet and the Divine Mercy image, which is signatured with the words, "Jesus, I trust in you." Unfortunately, at the age of 33, St Faustina suffered from tuberculosis and she passed away. Her feast day is celebrated on the 5th of October, and she is given the title Secretary of Divine Mercy.